close your eyes and drift back in time. Not just a few centuries, not even a few millennia, but hundreds of millions of years. The Earth is young, raw, and restless. Volcanoes breathe fire into the air. Rivers of lava carve their way through dark stone, and the land itself seems to shift beneath your feet. The air is heavy with the scent of ash and rain. And yet, through all this turmoil, life endures. This is the Triassic period, beginning more than 230 million years ago, a world rising from the ashes of devastation. Just before this era began, the planet experienced the greatest mass extinction in its history, the end Permian extinction. Nearly 90% of life in the oceans vanished. Entire families of plants and animals on land disappeared. The Earth had been shaken to its core. And yet, as always, life began again. The continents of this time were not scattered across the globe as we know them now. Instead, they were joined together into one immense supercontinent, Pangaea. From pole to pole, east to west, land stretched almost unbroken, surrounded by a single vast ocean called Pamphalassa. The heart of this land was dry and harsh, marked by deserts and wide plains, while lush forests grew closer to the coasts and rivers. It was in this reborn world that the first dinosaurs took their hesitant steps. They were not yet the giants we imagine when we hear the word dinosaur. They were small, light, and quick, often no larger than a dog. With long legs and flexible bodies, they darted through the undergrowth, hunting insects or chasing small lizards. Their world was still ruled by other creatures, ancient relatives of crocodiles called pseudosuchians filled the role of apex predators. Early amphibians and strange reptilian forms shared the rivers and swamps. But in the shadows, quietly and persistently, the dinosaurs were beginning their story. One of the earliest known was Eoraptor, a swift, two-legged hunter that lived in what is now South America. Barely over a meter long, it was slender and delicate, with sharp teeth for meat, but also the ability to eat plants. It was an experiment of nature, a small pioneer, testing what it meant to be a dinosaur. Soon after came creatures like Herrerasaurus, larger, more powerful, with jaws designed for tearing flesh. These were among the first predators of their kind, fast and agile, with tails balancing their every movement as they raced across the Triassic plains. But dinosaurs were not only predators. Some took on gentler roles, feeding on the plants that dotted the landscape. Early relatives of the great herbivores began to appear, walking on two legs, nibbling on ferns and cycads. They were not yet the towering sauropods of later ages, but their story had begun here, in this crucible of survival.
The climate of the Triassic was harsh and unpredictable. Summers were scorching, winters could be bitter, and rain was often scarce in the interior of Pangaea. Life clung to rivers, lakes, and coasts, where water and vegetation were more plentiful. In such a demanding world, speed and adaptability were vital. Dinosaurs thrived here because of their lightweight frames, their efficient lungs, and their ability to move swiftly in search of food and water. The skies of this world were already alive with flying insects, dragonflies with wingspans wider than a human hand, and the first primitive relatives of pterosaurs, the flying reptiles. The oceans were home to marine reptiles that glided through shallow seas, hunting fish and ammonites with coiled shells. It was a planet in transition, where every form of life seemed experimental, searching for new ways to endure. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the dinosaurs began to spread. From small corners of South America, they expanded into Africa, then across the wide interior of Pangaea. Their footprints pressed into the mud of riverbanks and dried plains, leaving traces of their journey that would survive for hundreds of millions of years, waiting for us to discover. Still, they were far from dominant. For millions of years, they lived in the shadow of other reptilian groups. Crocodile-like predators with armored skin ruled the rivers and forests. Mammal-like reptiles still survived, chewing plants with complex teeth and burrowing for safety. Yet the dinosaurs endured, biding their time. Nature was not finished reshaping the world. Near the end of the Triassic, the Earth trembled again. Volcanoes erupted across Pangaea, pouring lava across vast landscapes, releasing ash and gases into the air. The climate shifted. Many of the ruling reptiles of the age perished, unable to withstand the rapid changes. Entire lineages faded into extinction. And in that moment of loss, the dinosaurs rose. They had been small, they had been overlooked, but they were ready. Their agility, their breathing systems, and their ability to thrive in both harsh heat and sudden change gave them an advantage. Where others fell, they survived. The dawn of the dinosaurs was not a sudden burst of dominance, but the quiet persistence of life adapting, step by step, until one day the world belonged to them. For now, though, in this first chapter of their story, they are still small. They move softly across riverbanks, beneath forests of cycads and ginkgos, beneath skies streaked with ash from distant volcanoes. They are fragile, and yet within them lies the seed of something extraordinary, the beginning of a reign that will last for over 160 million years.
Chapter 2: The Jurassic Expansion. As the Triassic period ended, the Earth began a profound transformation. The supercontinent of Pangaea, which had dominated the planet for millions of years, started to fracture. Vast rift valleys opened, coastlines lengthened, and inland seas formed, reshaping the world in ways that would profoundly affect every living creature. Rainfall increased in many regions. Rivers carved winding paths through fertile plains, and the climate became warmer and more humid. The dry, harsh deserts of the late Triassic slowly gave way to environments teeming with life. The dinosaurs, which had only begun to emerge in the shadows of other reptiles, now seized these new opportunities, expanding across the land with remarkable success. The Jurassic period marked a dramatic leap in the scale and diversity of life. Giant sauropods became the icons of this era. Animals so massive that their necks towered above the tallest trees. Diplodocus, with its impossibly long whip-like tail, moved across floodplains in herds, its footsteps shaking the ground and leaving deep impressions in soft mud that would one day fossilize. Brachiosaurus, taller at the shoulders than many modern buildings, grazed on the canopies of conifers, feeding where no other creature could reach. These giants were not mere passive grazers. They reshaped their environment. Forests were thinned as they fed, Paths were cleared across plains, and water sources were altered by the sheer weight and movement of their bodies. Entire ecosystems adapted around their presence, a testament to the profound influence of size and dominance in nature. Predators also evolved to meet the challenges of this Jurassic world. Allosaurus prowled the forests and plains, its strong legs carrying it silently until it struck with speed and precision. Its jaws, lined with serrated teeth, could tear through flesh and bone with terrifying efficiency. Evidence suggests that these predators may have hunted in coordinated groups, strategically targeting the young, sick, or isolated members of sauropod herds. Smaller theropods thrived as well, hunting insects, amphibians, and smaller dinosaurs, their agility and intelligence making them formidable in their own niches. The dance of predator and prey created a dynamic, constantly shifting balance, shaping the behavior, anatomy, and social structures of countless species.
The diversification of dinosaurs was extraordinary. Every environment, from dense forests to open plains and coastal margins, became home to specialized species. Some dinosaurs adapted to life high in the trees, using claws and teeth to forage leaves and insects, while others remained on the ground, browsing ferns, cycads, and low-lying plants. Feathered dinosaurs began to appear, their feathers serving multiple functions: insulation, camouflage, display, and eventually the possibility of flight. By the late Jurassic, early birds like Archaeopteryx emerged, bridging the gap between reptiles and the creatures that would one day dominate the skies. Plant life flourished alongside the expanding dinosaur populations. Vast forests of towering conifers stretched across continents, their needles and cones providing abundant food for herbivores. Ginkgos and cycads offered alternative sources of nutrition, while ferns and horsetails carpeted the forest floor. The diversity of plants allowed for the development of complex ecosystems, where every layer of the forest, from canopy to undergrowth, supported life. Rivers and lakes became hubs of activity, attracting dinosaurs, crocodile-like reptiles, amphibians, and countless insects. The coasts and shallow seas teemed with marine reptiles, such as ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs, adding movement and life to every corner of the Jurassic world. Geological forces continued to shape the Earth. Volcanic eruptions periodically blanketed regions with ash, forcing species to adapt or migrate. Mountains slowly rose along tectonic boundaries, creating barriers that split populations and encouraged evolutionary divergence. Sea levels fluctuated, forming and draining shallow inland seas, altering habitats and prompting migrations that spread species across continents. These changes made the Jurassic a dynamic world, one in which life constantly adjusted to survive and thrive. Even the skies were alive with activity. Pterosaurs of all sizes glided above the forests and rivers, hunting fish, nesting on cliffs, or simply drifting on the wind. Early birds flitted through the trees, experimenting with flight, navigating complex forests, and adding yet another layer of life to the already rich tapestry of the Jurassic. The interplay between land, sea, and air created a world in which no environment was isolated. Everything was connected in intricate, evolving relationships. The Jurassic expansion was not merely a period of growth. It was a time when dinosaurs claimed dominance over the Earth. Their size, diversity, and adaptability allowed them to fill every ecological niche. Forests, plains, rivers, and coasts became arenas of life, where herbivores grazed and migrated, predators hunted and strategized,
and smaller species survived in the shadows of giants. The dinosaurs' reign had solidified, yet the stage was still being set for further evolution, greater diversity, and the spectacular events of the Cretaceous period that lay ahead. In this lush, ever-changing world, the dinosaurs did more than live. They shaped the Earth itself. Their footprints carved paths through forests. Their feeding habits altered the course of rivers, and their sheer presence dictated the behavior of countless other species. The Jurassic was a time of expansion, innovation, and ecological mastery. It was a period when the dinosaurs truly became rulers of the land, and the Earth became a stage on which their story would unfold for millions of years, a story written in stone, fossilized in time, and preserved for us to imagine and explore today.
Chapter 3: Landscapes of the Dinosaur Age. To truly understand the world of the dinosaurs, one must first imagine the Earth as it was during the Mesozoic era, a planet in constant motion, alive with transformation. The continents drifted slowly, colliding, separating, and reshaping coastlines over millions of years. Mountains rose where plates met, creating dramatic highlands, while rifting continents formed long, shallow seas that carved new coastlines and created fertile floodplains. The climate shifted from the harsh dryness of the Triassic into warmer and more humid conditions, with rainfall patterns that nurtured lush vegetation across vast regions. It was a world of endless possibility, a landscape constantly remade by geological forces, where life evolved and adapted in response to every change. Forests dominated large swaths of the land. Towering conifers stretched toward the sky, forming dense canopies that filtered sunlight into a soft, dappled glow on the forest floor below. Cycads and ginkgos punctuated these forests with their unique shapes, while ferns and horsetails carpeted the ground, creating thick mats of greenery that sheltered smaller creatures. These forests were alive with movement. Dinosaurs foraged in the undergrowth or browsed at the treetops, their calls echoing through the trees. Insects hummed and flitted between leaves. Small feathered dinosaurs darted through the shadows, hunting or evading predators. Rivers meandered through these forests, their banks lined with vegetation, providing water, food, and routes for migration. Floods and seasonal changes transformed these areas, sometimes creating temporary wetlands that brought new challenges and opportunities for the creatures that lived there. In contrast, open plains offered a very different kind of world. These vast expanses were sparsely vegetated, with low-growing plants, scattered cycads, and ferns. Here, the largest sauropods roamed, their enormous herds moving slowly but steadily across the landscape. Their massive feet pressed deep impressions into the soft soil, leaving tracks that would one day fossilize as records of their existence. These plains were the hunting grounds of predators like Allosaurus, which relied on stealth, patience, and cooperation to bring down enormous prey. Open landscapes required animals to be constantly vigilant, as there was little cover to hide from threats. Yet they also offered unparalleled opportunities for movement and grazing, and the vast horizon created a sense of freedom that was absent in dense forests.
Mountains and highlands added further diversity to the dinosaur world. These regions, often rugged and isolated, influenced local climate and vegetation patterns. Valleys collected water,
creating rivers and lakes that supported both plant and animal life. The slopes were home to species that adapted to thinner air, rocky terrain, and cooler temperatures. Occasional volcanic eruptions reshaped the land, depositing nutrient-rich ash that encouraged bursts of plant growth, which in turn attracted herbivores and the predators that hunted them. These mountains, high and imposing, served both as barriers and as refuges, fostering unique ecosystems that were less affected by competition from lowland species. Coastal regions and shallow seas provided yet another dimension to the landscapes of the dinosaurs. Beaches, estuaries, and lagoons teemed with life. Fish, amphibians, and marine reptiles thrived in the waters, while pterosaurs and early birds patrolled the skies above, hunting or nesting along cliffs and sandbars. Some dinosaurs grazed near the water, feeding on plants that thrived along the shorelines, while others scavenged fish or carrion washed up on the beaches. These coastal areas were dynamic, reshaped constantly by tides, storms, and sediment movement, requiring adaptability and keen awareness from all who lived there. Rivers and lakes were central to the Mesozoic landscapes. They nourished plants, attracted prey, and provided routes for migration. Seasonal flooding transformed plains into temporary wetlands, creating new challenges and reshaping the land. Dinosaurs adapted by developing specialized feeding behaviors, migration patterns, or nesting strategies. In these waterways, life thrived in abundance, and yet always carried the risk of sudden change, as storms could flood banks, change currents, or sweep away young and weak individuals. Even the skies played a vital role in the Jurassic and Cretaceous landscapes. Pterosaurs of every size and shape soared above forests, plains, and coasts, riding air currents, hunting fish, and scouting for nests. Early birds navigated the forest canopy with agility, seeking insects, seeds, or shelter among branches. The skies connected different ecosystems, allowing creatures to interact in ways that no single terrestrial habitat could support. Clouds drifted lazily, bringing rain that nourished the land below, while the sun's movement created shifting patterns of light and shadow across the terrain. The landscapes of the dinosaur age were intricate tapestries of interconnected habitats. Dense forests, open plains, towering mountains, winding rivers, and bustling coasts all existed in dynamic balance. Each environment shaped the creatures that inhabited it, and each animal, in turn, influenced the landscape. Forests were thinned by feeding herds, rivers were altered by migration, and predators sculpted prey populations, maintaining the delicate equilibrium of life. Every footprint, broken branch, and feeding mark was part of a larger story, a world alive with movement, growth, and endless adaptation. To imagine these landscapes is to see a world both alien and breathtakingly beautiful, a planet rich in color, sound, and motion. The dinosaurs were not simply inhabitants of this world, they were architects, participants, and masters of their environments. They molded forests, shaped plains, and traversed mountains, leaving a record of their existence etched into the very earth. These landscapes, vast and diverse, were more than just the backdrop for life. They were an integral part of the story of the dinosaurs, a story of survival, adaptation, and the unstoppable drive of life to flourish in every corner of a changing planet.
Chapter 4: Dinosaur Behavior and Social Life.
The life of dinosaurs was shaped not only by the landscapes they inhabited, but also by the ways they interacted with one another. Observing the behavior of these ancient creatures requires imagination, informed by fossil evidence, trackways, and comparisons with modern animals. From hunting and foraging to social structures and nesting, the daily lives of dinosaurs were as varied and complex as the world around them. Some dinosaurs were solitary creatures, moving through the forests, plains, or highlands, largely alone. Predators like Tyrannosaurus rex likely patrolled their territories, relying on keen senses to detect prey or rivals. Stealth, patience, and sudden bursts of energy were key to their survival. Solitary herbivores, too, moved with careful attention to their surroundings, grazing quietly while avoiding predators. In these cases, life was a delicate balance between finding food and evading danger, with each step calculated to ensure survival. Yet many dinosaurs were social animals, traveling in herds or flocks for protection and cooperation. Massive sauropods like Brachiosaurus or Diplodocus moved in groups, their sheer size offering safety in numbers. Herd behavior allowed for shared vigilance against predators, and the movement of one dinosaur could signal danger or opportunity to others. Among smaller species, coordinated behavior may have included hunting in packs, defending young collectively, or communicating through calls, gestures, or visual displays. These social interactions were subtle yet vital, shaping survival and the success of entire species. Nesting and reproduction were central to dinosaur life. Fossilized nests reveal that some species returned to the same locations year after year, carefully arranging eggs and possibly tending to them until hatching. The act of caring for young varied among species. Some may have provided extended protection, while others left hatchlings to fend for themselves almost immediately. Nesting sites were often chosen with great care, located near water sources, sheltered from predators, and positioned in areas where vegetation could provide cover or food. The cycle of life, from egg to juvenile to adult, was repeated countless times across millions of years, each generation carrying forward the legacy of its ancestors. Communication among dinosaurs was likely complex and multifaceted. Fossil evidence suggests that some species used vocalizations, similar to the calls of modern birds and reptiles, to warn of danger, attract mates, or maintain herd cohesion. Visual displays such as the spreading of crests, frills, or feathers may have signaled dominance, readiness to mate, or species identity. Physical gestures, postures, and movements also played a role, allowing dinosaurs to navigate social hierarchies, resolve conflicts, or coordinate group activities without direct confrontation. Predatory behavior varied widely, depending on the species, size, and environment. Some predators ambushed their prey from concealed positions, relying on stealth and surprise, while others pursued targets across open plains in long, strategic chases. Hunting could be solitary, with a single powerful predator overpowering its victim, or cooperative, with groups working together to corner or exhaust larger prey. Herbivorous dinosaurs, too, had strategies to protect themselves, from forming dense herds to using defensive structures like horns, spines, or armored plates. Life was a constant interplay of risk and reward, with each species adapting behaviors finely tuned to their ecological niches.
Migration played an important role in many dinosaur species' lives. Seasonal shifts in climate, availability of water, and the growth cycles of plants drove long journeys across continents. These migrations allowed dinosaurs to access food, avoid harsh conditions, and reproduce in safer or more fertile areas. Fossilized trackways reveal long, organized movements, suggesting that some species traveled in coordinated groups following ancient paths repeated generation after generation. Such migrations were feats of endurance, coordination, and instinct, reflecting a deep connection between dinosaurs and their ever-changing world. The social lives of dinosaurs extended beyond simple survival. Displays of courtship, competition for mates, and the establishment of territories all shaped the dynamics of populations. Dinosaurs may have engaged in rituals, both subtle and dramatic, that influenced who reproduced and how herds or groups organized themselves. Juvenile dinosaurs learned from observing adults, adopting survival techniques, communication methods, and social behaviors that would ensure the continuity of their species. In this way, knowledge, instinct, and adaptation were passed through generations, weaving the fabric of dinosaur societies across time. Even simple daily behaviors were deeply connected to the environment. Feeding patterns were synchronized with the growth cycles of plants, water availability, and predator-prey interactions. Resting or sleeping locations were chosen for safety, proximity to resources, and sometimes social considerations. Movement through the landscape was never random. Every step was informed by instinct, learned behavior, and observation of the world around them. The dinosaurs' lives were a continuous dance with the natural world, a blend of strategy, instinct, and adaptation that allowed them to thrive for millions of years. By imagining the social and behavioral world of dinosaurs, we glimpse a planet alive with interaction, intelligence, and survival strategies. These creatures were not mindless giants. They were complex beings capable of communication, cooperation, and adaptation. Herds moved like living rivers across plains. Predators calculated their strikes with precision, and nests sheltered the next generation of life. Every aspect of behavior, feeding, mating, migrating, defending, or resting, was part of the intricate web of life that defined the Mesozoic era. The dinosaurs' behavior and social life remind us that the prehistoric world was far from static. It was alive with interaction, shaped by both instinct and environment, and marked by the constant ebb and flow of life. By studying these behaviors, we not only reconstruct the lives of creatures that vanished millions of years ago, but we also gain insight into the profound connections between animals, landscapes, and the rhythms of nature itself. The dinosaur's story is one of survival, adaptation, and the remarkable ways life organizes itself, providing a window into the richness and complexity of a world long gone, yet preserved forever in stone.
Chapter 5: Evolution and Adaptation of Dinosaurs. The story of dinosaurs is not only one of size, diversity, and dominance, but also of extraordinary evolutionary adaptation. Over hundreds of millions of years, these creatures continuously responded to the pressures and opportunities presented by a world in constant flux, developing physical traits, behaviors, and ecological strategies that allowed them to survive, thrive, and diversify across a wide range of habitats. To understand dinosaur evolution is to understand how life itself can innovate, adapt, and persist under the most varied and challenging circumstances. Dinosaurs first emerged during the late Triassic period, over 230 million years ago, arising from a lineage of archosaurian reptiles. These earliest dinosaurs were generally small, bipedal, and fast-moving.
able to exploit niches that were not dominated by larger, more cumbersome reptiles of the time. Their success was not immediate, but incremental, driven by advantages in mobility, sensory perception, and reproductive strategies. Small size allowed them to escape predators, explore complex terrain, and exploit limited food resources efficiently. From these modest beginnings, evolutionary pressures soon propelled dinosaurs toward remarkable diversity, resulting in the expansive variety that would define the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. One of the most significant aspects of dinosaur evolution was body size. While some species remained small and agile, others evolved to become massive giants. Sauropods, for example, developed enormous bodies with long necks, allowing them to feed on vegetation unreachable by other herbivores. Their sheer size provided a formidable defense against predators and enabled them to dominate their ecosystems. In contrast, smaller predators such as dromaeosaurs relied on agility, speed, and precision to capture prey, showing how evolution produced solutions tailored to different ecological niches. These size variations were not merely about survival. They also shaped social behaviors, migratory patterns, and reproductive strategies. Dietary adaptation was a cornerstone of evolutionary success. Herbivorous dinosaurs developed specialized teeth, jaws, and digestive systems to process a wide range of plant matter. Some species evolved serrated teeth capable of slicing through tough leaves, while others possessed flat, grinding teeth ideal for processing ferns, cycads, or conifers. Digestive efficiency was enhanced by complex stomach structures, gastroliths, and, in some cases, elongated intestinal tracts, enabling these animals to extract maximum nutrition from the often fibrous plant matter of the Mesozoic. Carnivorous dinosaurs, by contrast, evolved sharp, curved teeth and powerful jaws for slicing flesh or crushing bone. Some were specialized hunters of particular prey species, while others adopted a more generalized carnivorous diet, demonstrating flexibility in response to environmental conditions. Omnivorous species, capable of consuming both plants and animals, illustrate the adaptive versatility that allowed dinosaurs to survive in fluctuating conditions where food sources might change seasonally or geographically.
Defense and survival mechanisms were another key driver of adaptation. Many herbivores developed physical defenses such as armor, spikes, or horns, deterring predation and enabling survival in predator-rich ecosystems. Speed, agility, and flocking behavior served as alternative defenses for species without heavy armor. Predators, in turn, developed counter-adaptations, such as enhanced senses, stronger limbs, or cooperative hunting strategies, creating an evolutionary arms race that shaped the morphology and behavior of multiple lineages simultaneously. The constant interplay between offense and defense illustrates how adaptation was a continuous, dynamic process rather than a static trait. Locomotion strategies were equally diverse. Some dinosaurs were primarily bipedal, allowing rapid movement and freeing their forelimbs for grasping, climbing, or specialized feeding. Others were quadrupedal, supporting massive bodies with stability and strength. In several cases, species exhibited facultative locomotion, switching between bipedal and quadrupedal movement, depending on activity, speed, or environmental challenges. Tail length, musculature, and flexibility evolved in tandem with locomotion, providing balance, aiding in turning or maneuvering, and sometimes serving as defensive or display structures. Even subtle changes in joint structure, vertebrae alignment, and limb proportions reflect finely tuned evolutionary solutions to ecological pressures. Sensory adaptations played a vital role in survival.
Predators developed acute vision for spotting prey, while herbivores refined their hearing and olfactory senses to detect danger. Some species likely possessed color vision or the ability to perceive subtle movement in dim light, conferring advantages in dense forests or at twilight. The evolution of sensory systems did not occur in isolation. It was closely linked to behavior, social interaction, and environmental navigation. Communication, predator detection, foraging efficiency, and mating displays all depended on these finely tuned senses, showing how evolution shaped perception alongside physical and behavioral traits. Reproductive strategies also evolved in remarkable ways. Dinosaur eggs varied in size, shell thickness, and clutch arrangement, reflecting diverse reproductive adaptations. Some species built protective nests, returned to the same nesting sites repeatedly, and displayed parental care, suggesting a sophisticated understanding of environmental conditions and predator avoidance. Others produced large numbers of eggs, relying on quantity to ensure that some offspring would survive despite high mortality rates. Reproductive adaptations were closely intertwined with social behavior, migration patterns, and resource availability, creating an interconnected web of survival strategies. Environmental changes were a constant driver of evolutionary adaptation. Continental drift reshaped habitats, creating mountains, plains, deserts, and coastlines. Volcanic activity, climatic shifts, and fluctuating sea levels altered vegetation patterns, water availability, and temperature gradients. Dinosaurs responded with remarkable flexibility, evolving migratory behaviors, dietary shifts, morphological innovations, and social structures that allowed them to exploit new niches and cope with emerging challenges. Evolution was not linear. It involved branching, experimentation, and occasional extinction, producing a complex mosaic of species uniquely adapted to their temporal and spatial contexts.
The diversity of evolutionary strategies also extended to behavior. Hunting techniques, social structures, flocking dynamics, and territoriality were shaped by selective pressures alongside physical adaptations. Herbivores learned to coordinate movement, employ collective vigilance, and defend young collaboratively. Predators evolved strategies ranging from solitary ambush to sophisticated group hunting, often displaying intelligence and coordination. Communication systems, whether visual, vocal, or behavioral, were refined over generations, facilitating cooperation, conflict resolution, and reproduction. Every adaptation, whether structural, behavioral, or physiological, reflected the interplay between the organism and its environment. The evolutionary story of dinosaurs is a testament to the power of adaptation over vast spans of time. From the earliest small Triassic forms to the colossal giants and highly specialized predators of the Jurassic and Cretaceous, each species represents a unique response to the challenges of life on Earth. Their success demonstrates the intricate relationship between anatomy, behavior, environment, and survival, illustrating evolution as an ongoing, dynamic process of innovation and refinement. Through fossil evidence, trackways, preserved nests, and comparative anatomy, scientists reconstruct these evolutionary pathways, revealing a world of continual experimentation, adaptation, and opportunity. Dinosaurs were not static. They were dynamic, responsive, and extraordinarily versatile, navigating millions of years of environmental change and ecological competition. Their evolutionary journey highlights the power of life to persist, innovate, and flourish,
leaving a legacy that continues to captivate our imagination and inform our understanding of biology and adaptation today. Ultimately, the evolution and adaptation of dinosaurs show us that survival is not merely about strength or size. It is about responsiveness to change, flexibility in strategy, and the capacity to innovate in the face of challenge. Every anatomical feature, behavioral trait, and physiological adaptation represents millions of years of fine-tuning, trial, and refinement. Dinosaurs exemplify the endless creativity of evolution, a profound demonstration of how life can mold itself to an ever-shifting planet, creating species that were perfectly attuned to their time and place, yet also capable of inspiring curiosity millions of years later.
Chapter 6: The Diversity of Dinosaurs. The world of dinosaurs was a tapestry of unimaginable diversity, encompassing a vast array of forms, sizes, and lifestyles that adapted to nearly every ecological niche of the Mesozoic era. Over the course of millions of years, these creatures evolved into countless species, each with unique adaptations that allowed them to thrive in specific environments. Their diversity was not random, but a product of evolutionary pressures, environmental changes, and the endless experimentation of life in a dynamic and sometimes harsh world. Dinosaurs are broadly categorized into two major groups: the Saurischia, or lizard-hipped dinosaurs, and the Ornithischians, or bird-hipped dinosaurs. The Saurischia include both the massive long-necked sauropods and the fearsome theropods, while the Ornithischians encompass a range of herbivorous species, including armored stegosaurs, horned ceratopsians, and duck-billed hadrosaurs. These groupings revealed just a fraction of the diversity that existed, as countless subgroups, genera, and species evolved to exploit the planet's varied landscapes. Within these broad classifications, the sheer variety of forms illustrates how life can adapt to almost any challenge, producing creatures that could walk on 2 legs or 4, fly, swim, or even glide through the air. The sauropods are among the most iconic examples of dinosaur diversity. Giants such as Argentinosaurus and Brachiosaurus reached lengths of over 30 meters, with necks that allowed them to feed high in the trees and bodies that could store enormous amounts of energy. Their enormous size provided protection from most predators, but it also required complex adaptations in skeletal structure, cardiovascular systems, and respiration to sustain their massive frames. Despite their size, sauropods were not uniform. Subtle differences in neck length, vertebrae structure, and limb proportions allowed different species to exploit slightly different feeding zones or habitats, reducing competition and enhancing survival. Theropods, by contrast, illustrate diversity in predatory strategies and intelligence. From the massive Tyrannosaurus rex with its powerful jaws and keen senses to the swift and agile velociraptor capable of coordinated hunting, these carnivores adapted to hunt in forests, plains, and coastal regions. Some theropods, such as the feathered members of the Menoraptoran group, evolved complex plumage and possibly even proto-flight capabilities, revealing a fascinating bridge between traditional dinosaurs and modern birds. Theropod diversity shows how evolutionary pressures can lead to both gigantism and miniaturization, depending on environmental conditions, prey availability, and competition.
Herbivorous dinosaurs demonstrate a remarkable array of adaptations as well. Ceratopsians, such as Triceratops, evolved large horns and frilled skulls, likely for both defense and social signaling. while ankylosaurs developed heavy armor and tail clubs to deter predators. Hadrosaurs, or duck-billed dinosaurs, evolved specialized teeth and jaws for grinding plant material, often living in large herds that migrated to follow seasonal vegetation. Stegosaurs, with their distinctive plates and spiked tails, occupied a different ecological niche, combining defense mechanisms with a feeding strategy that targeted low-growing plants. This diversity within herbivores reflects the complex balance between predator pressures, resource availability, and social behavior. Dinosaurs also adapted to aquatic and semi-aquatic environments. While not as specialized as modern marine reptiles, certain species developed features that allowed them to exploit rivers, lakes, and coastal areas. Some theropods hunted fish and other aquatic prey, while others may have waded into shallow waters to forage. Limb adaptations, body proportions, and even possible webbing indicate that dinosaurs were not confined to terrestrial life. They experimented with many ways to interact with their environments, extending their diversity even further. Beyond physical form, behavioral diversity was equally remarkable. Dinosaurs developed a wide range of social structures, from solitary hunters to complex herd animals. Herding behavior offered protection, coordinated hunting, and opportunities for social learning, while solitary species relied on stealth, strength, or speed. Communication, whether through vocalizations, visual displays, or physical gestures, likely played a critical role in social interaction, mating, and territory defense. Nesting behaviors and parental care also varied widely, with some species protecting and nurturing their young, while others produced large clutches and relied on survival through numbers. Geographic diversity also contributed to the astonishing variety of dinosaurs. Continental drift separated populations, creating isolated evolutionary pressures that produced unique species on different landmasses. Dinosaurs in what would become North America faced different climates and predators than those in South America, Asia, or Africa, leading to distinct evolutionary paths. Island populations, cut off from mainland predators and competitors, evolved unusual forms, sometimes dwarfing or miniaturizing compared to their continental relatives. This geographic isolation, combined with environmental pressures, amplified diversity and allowed new adaptations to emerge. Temporal diversity played a role as well. The Mesozoic era spanned over 180 million years, during which climates, vegetation, and ecosystems changed dramatically. Early Triassic dinosaurs were relatively small and cautious, while Jurassic forms exploded into enormous size and complexity. Cretaceous dinosaurs exhibited some of the most specialized forms, with highly advanced feeding mechanisms, sensory adaptations, and social behaviors. Evolutionary pressures shifted over time, favoring different traits in response to changing conditions, and this temporal layering produced a constantly evolving landscape of life that left behind a rich fossil record.
Even within species, individual variation contributed to the diversity of dinosaurs. Sexual dimorphism, age-related changes, and genetic variation produced differences in size, shape, and behavior, further enriching the spectrum of life in the Mesozoic. Fossil evidence of healed injuries, disease, and environmental stress reveals how individuals interacted with their surroundings, survived challenges, and contributed to the ongoing evolutionary story. Diversity was not only a matter of species, but also a matter of individual adaptation within populations. The diversity of dinosaurs highlights the complexity and resilience of life. It demonstrates how evolution operates across multiple levels: morphology, behavior, reproduction, and ecology, producing creatures capable of adapting to nearly every conceivable challenge. From towering giants to nimble predators, from armored herbivores to feathered hunters, the dinosaur world was a mosaic of innovation and survival, a testament to the creative power of evolution. Exploring this diversity allows us to appreciate the scope and scale of life that once roamed the earth. It reminds us that success in the natural world is rarely about a single trait. It is about flexibility, adaptability, and the ability to respond to change. Each dinosaur species, with its own set of adaptations and behaviors, represents a unique solution to the challenges of existence. Together, they form a living panorama of the Mesozoic, a dynamic ecosystem in which life experimented, thrived, and sometimes fell, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and inspire. In summary, the diversity of dinosaurs was staggering. Their forms, behaviors, and adaptations span the full spectrum of possibility, reflecting the interplay of environment, competition, and evolutionary innovation. From the tiniest feathered hunters to the largest sauropods, from solitary predators to massive herds of plant eaters, dinosaurs exemplified the boundless creativity of life and the intricate balance between survival, adaptation, and evolution. The richness of this diversity remains one of the most compelling aspects of paleontology, offering endless insights into how life can flourish under even the most challenging circumstances.
Chapter 7: The Ecosystems of Dinosaurs. The world of dinosaurs was shaped not only by the creatures themselves, but by the ecosystems they inhabited. These ecosystems were complex networks of plants, animals, and environmental factors, creating a delicate balance that allowed life to thrive over millions of years. Understanding the habitats of dinosaurs helps us appreciate how diverse and dynamic their world truly was, from dense forests and sprawling plains to coastal regions and arid deserts. During the Triassic period, the first dinosaurs emerged in landscapes that were harsh and fluctuating. The continents were joined as the supercontinent Pangaea, producing vast interior regions with extreme temperatures. Vegetation was dominated by ferns, cycads, and conifers, creating a patchwork of forests and open areas. Small dinosaurs adapted to these conditions by developing agility, speed, and early social strategies to survive both predators and environmental challenges. Lakes and river systems provided water and food for numerous species, supporting early amphibians and reptiles alongside emerging dinosaurs. By the Jurassic period, ecosystems had become more varied and lush. Rising humidity and warmer temperatures fostered expansive forests of tall conifers and ferns, providing abundant food for herbivorous dinosaurs. These forests were home to enormous sauropods, which roamed in herds, and to large theropods, which hunted with intelligence and strategy. Open plains and floodplains developed between forests, creating corridors for migration and interaction among species. Rivers teemed with fish, and shallow lakes supported semi-aquatic reptiles, all part of a rich web of life that dinosaurs were intrinsically connected to. The Cretaceous period saw even greater diversity in ecosystems, shaped by further continental drift, climate changes, and sea level fluctuations. Coastal areas, estuaries, and inland seas expanded, creating habitats where dinosaurs, early birds, and marine reptiles interacted. flowering plants began to appear, offering new food sources and driving adaptations in herbivorous species. Forests of conifers, ferns, and emerging angiosperms provided shelter and forage, while arid regions demanded resilience and resourcefulness. Dinosaurs in each environment evolved to exploit available resources, whether through specialized teeth, social behavior, or migration patterns. Predator-prey dynamics played a crucial role in shaping ecosystems. Large carnivores, such as Tyrannosaurus and Allosaurus, influenced the movement and behavior of herbivores, which in turn affected vegetation patterns. Herding behavior in herbivorous dinosaurs allowed coordinated defense, while solitary species adapted stealth and speed. This interplay created a constantly shifting balance, where each species influenced the survival and evolution of others. Ecosystems were alive not only with dinosaurs, but with insects, amphibians, mammals, and reptiles, all interacting in a complex, interdependent network. Water sources were vital centers of life. Rivers, lakes, and wetlands attracted numerous species, acting as hubs for feeding, breeding, and social interaction. Fish and aquatic plants sustained semi-aquatic dinosaurs and reptiles, while shorelines provided hunting grounds for carnivorous species. Seasonal changes affected these ecosystems, with migrations following the availability of food and water. Dinosaurs adapted to these cycles, demonstrating remarkable flexibility in response to environmental pressures.
Geography also shaped ecosystems. Mountain ranges, volcanoes, and plains created microclimates, producing isolated habitats that encouraged local adaptations. Island ecosystems fostered unique species, often smaller or larger than their mainland relatives, while continental interiors required endurance and mobility. Ecosystem diversity was a direct product of Earth's shifting landscapes, climate variations, and the intricate dance of life over millions of years. Plant life influenced every aspect of dinosaur ecology. Forests provided shelter, food, and nesting sites. Seasonal changes in vegetation impacted diet and behavior, and the evolution of flowering plants introduced new opportunities for specialization. Herbivorous dinosaurs developed varied feeding strategies, from high browsing by sauropods to ground-level grazing by stegosaurs and ceratopsians. This plant-dinosaur interaction shaped the structure of ecosystems, driving both evolution and the distribution of species. Social dynamics within ecosystems added another layer of complexity. Some dinosaurs lived in large herds, coordinating movement and defense. Others were solitary hunters, patrolling territories and competing for resources. Communication through vocalizations, visual displays, and behavior played a key role in maintaining social cohesion, establishing dominance, and signaling danger. These behaviors contributed to the stability and diversity of ecosystems, influencing survival and reproduction. In sum, dinosaur ecosystems were intricate, dynamic, and deeply interconnected. Every plant, animal, and environmental factor played a role in sustaining life. From the earliest Triassic habitats to the lush Cretaceous forests and plains, dinosaurs navigated an ever-changing world, adapting to challenges, exploiting opportunities, and shaping the landscapes they inhabited. These ecosystems reveal the complexity of life in the Mesozoic and highlight the delicate balance required for species to thrive over millions of years. Exploring the ecosystems of dinosaurs allows us to see their world not as a series of isolated creatures, but as a vast, interconnected web of life.
Rivers, forests, plains, and coasts were alive with movement, interaction, and survival strategies. Each species, from the smallest insectivorous dinosaur to the largest sauropod, contributed to the richness and resilience of their environment. These ecosystems, vibrant and complex, remind us that life is a continuous, evolving story, and that the dinosaurs' world was as rich and multifaceted as our own.
Chapter 8: Adaptations and Survival Strategies. Dinosaurs were masters of adaptation, evolving an astonishing array of physical traits, behaviors, and ecological strategies that allowed them to survive and thrive in the dynamic environments of the Mesozoic era. Their success was not simply a matter of size, strength, or predatory skill, but a combination of intelligence, social cooperation, ecological awareness, and specialized anatomy, all finely tuned to meet the challenges of an ever-changing world. One of the most striking forms of adaptation was physical structure. Sauropods, for example, developed massive bodies, long necks, and enormous pillar-like legs to reach high vegetation and support immense weight. This immense size served as both an advantage and a limitation. It allowed sauropods to reach food sources inaccessible to other herbivores and to deter most predators. Yet it also required specialized cardiovascular and respiratory systems to maintain sufficient blood flow and oxygenation. Theropods, on the other hand, evolved agility, speed, and precision. Creatures such as Tyrannosaurus rex combined brute strength with strategic hunting skills, while smaller predators like Velociraptor relied on speed, coordination, and intelligence to catch prey. Some theropods developed feathers, likely first for temperature regulation, camouflage, or display, but eventually these adaptations became crucial for flight in certain lineages, bridging the evolutionary gap to modern birds. Armor and defensive adaptations were widespread among herbivorous dinosaurs. Ankylosaurs evolved thick, bony plates and clubbed tails to repel attackers, while stegosaurs developed spiked tails and dorsal plates that may have served multiple purposes, from defense to social signaling. Ceratopsians, with their elaborate horns and frills, used these structures not only to fend off predators, but also in displays of dominance, courtship, and social hierarchy. Even tail length, limb shape, and body posture played critical roles in predator avoidance, showing that every anatomical feature could have a survival function. Behavioral adaptations were equally important for survival. Herding behavior, common among many herbivorous species, provided safety in numbers, allowing individuals to detect predators more easily and protect the young. Herds also facilitated social learning, communication, and cooperative defense. Some theropods engaged in pack hunting, coordinating movements and strategies to capture prey larger than themselves, demonstrating advanced cognition and social organization. Conversely, solitary dinosaurs relied on stealth, camouflage, and territorial behavior, emphasizing that multiple survival strategies could coexist even within similar habitats.
Dietary adaptations were incredibly diverse and often highly specialized. Herbivores evolved complex teeth, jaws, and digestive systems to process tough, fibrous plants. Hadrosaurs, for instance, had advanced dental batteries capable of grinding plant material with efficiency, while ceratopsians developed beaks ideal for cropping leaves and stems. Carnivores had evolved teeth and jaws suited for slicing flesh, crushing bone, and delivering fatal strikes. Some species also had specialized sensory adaptations, including keen eyesight, acute olfactory senses, and even stereoscopic vision, which aided in hunting and navigating their environment. Omnivorous dinosaurs, meanwhile, benefited from flexibility, consuming both plant and animal matter to survive periods of scarcity. Reproductive strategies were another crucial element of adaptation. Many dinosaurs laid eggs in carefully constructed nests, sometimes forming colonies where communal nesting improved hatchling survival rates. Egg size, clutch number, and nesting behavior evolved in response to predation risk and environmental pressures. Fossil evidence indicates that rapid growth during juvenile stages helped young dinosaurs escape predators, while extended parental care in some species suggests complex social structures and investment in offspring survival. Such strategies highlight the interconnection between reproduction, behavior, and ecological success. Environmental adaptability was equally remarkable. Dinosaurs lived through vast changes in climate, geography, and sea levels. Some thrived in dense forests, others in arid plains, and some even ventured into semi-aquatic habitats. Species evolved to exploit niches with precision. Some developed longer limbs for running, others specialized teeth for particular plant species, and still others adapted behaviors to follow seasonal food availability. Migration was common among certain herbivores, ensuring access to water and vegetation across diverse landscapes. This ability to adjust to changing conditions demonstrates the evolutionary flexibility that contributed to their long dominance. Predator-prey dynamics also shaped adaptations. Large carnivores influenced the movement and behavior of herbivores, driving the development of social cooperation, alarm signals, and defensive structures. Herbivores, in turn, influenced the evolution of predators, leading to increased speed, intelligence, and hunting specialization. This constant feedback loop created a dynamic balance within ecosystems where survival depended not only on individual traits, but also on interactions with other species. Even seemingly small adaptations could have major impacts. Feathers, initially used for insulation or display in small theropods, eventually became critical for flight. Limb modifications, from elongated arms to specialized claws, allowed for climbing, grasping, or digging. Beaks, specialized teeth, and other morphological innovations evolved in response to dietary pressures. Evolution continuously experimented with form and function, creating a tapestry of adaptations finely tuned to survival. In sum, the survival strategies of dinosaurs were the product of millions of years of evolutionary experimentation. Physical traits, behaviors, reproductive strategies, sensory adaptations, and environmental flexibility all combined to produce creatures capable of navigating a vast and complex world. From the towering giants that dominated forest canopies to the small, agile predators hunting in packs, every species developed unique ways to meet the challenges of life. Their adaptations were not static, but dynamic, reflecting a constant interplay between organism, environment, and ecological relationships. The story of dinosaur adaptations is a testament to the resilience, creativity, and ingenuity of life. Each adaptation, from the largest structural innovation to the smallest behavioral shift, contributed to the ability of dinosaurs to flourish for millions of years. These strategies remind us that survival is rarely about one single advantage. It is about the combination of traits, the ability to respond to change, and the continuous refinement of skills and structures. Dinosaurs were, in every sense, extraordinary masters of adaptation, and their legacy continues to inspire our understanding of evolution, survival, and the remarkable diversity of life on Earth.
Chapter 9.
The end of an era. The story of dinosaurs is not only one of dominance and survival, but also of vulnerability, sudden change, and the ultimate fragility of even the most seemingly invincible creatures. For over 165 million years, dinosaurs had roamed Earth, evolving in extraordinary ways to fill every imaginable ecological niche. They had conquered forests, plains, deserts, and coastal regions. They had evolved colossal sizes, intricate defenses, intelligence, social behaviors, and unmatched diversity. Yet all these adaptations, honed over countless generations, could not prevent a dramatic and sudden shift that would bring their era to a close. By the late Cretaceous period, the Earth was a dynamic and shifting world. Continental drift had gradually rearranged land masses and oceans, creating new coastlines, isolated habitats, and diverse climates. Mountains rose, seas receded, and volcanic activity sculpted landscapes while releasing gases that subtly altered the global atmosphere. These environmental changes already placed significant pressure on dinosaur populations. Food sources shifted, migration paths changed, and many species had to adapt to increasingly fragmented habitats. Even before the catastrophic event, some lineages were struggling, while others thrived in new conditions, demonstrating the complexity of life in this transitional period. Then, approximately 66 million years ago, an event occurred that would irrevocably alter life on the planet. A massive asteroid, estimated to be around 10 kilometers in diameter, collided with Earth near the present-day Yucatan Peninsula. The impact released energy on a scale unimaginable, triggering massive earthquakes, tsunamis, and widespread wildfires that burned forests across continents. Dust, soot, and vaporized rock were thrust into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight for months or even years. Without sunlight, plants could no longer perform photosynthesis, leading to the collapse of primary food chains. Herbivorous dinosaurs starved, and carnivorous species, dependent on them, quickly followed. This chain reaction devastated ecosystems, causing one of the most significant mass extinctions in Earth's history. The asteroid impact was not the sole factor, though it was the immediate trigger. Intense volcanic activity, such as the eruptions in the Deccan Traps of present-day India, had been releasing enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and other gases into the atmosphere for thousands of years. These eruptions may have already been altering climates, warming oceans, and acidifying seas. The combined effects of volcanism and the asteroid impact created a perfect storm, an ecological tipping point that no species, regardless of size or strength, could endure. The consequences for dinosaurs were catastrophic. Large species, such as sauropods and ceratatops, required immense amounts of vegetation to sustain their bodies. When plant life failed, their survival was immediately threatened. Smaller species, though more flexible, were not immune. Even they faced the collapse of food chains, extreme climatic changes, and the spread of harsh environmental conditions. Fossil evidence shows a rapid decline in species diversity, with entire groups vanishing within a relatively short geologic period. This extinction event, known as the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction, marked the abrupt end of the Mesozoic era and the conclusion of the Age of Dinosaurs.
Yet, while the extinction was dramatic, it was also transformative. The sudden disappearance of dominant dinosaurs opened ecological niches that had been long unavailable.
Mammals, previously small and inconspicuous, seized these opportunities, diversifying rapidly and expanding into new roles as herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Birds, descendants of small theropods, survived and continued to evolve, carrying forward the legacy of dinosaurs in flight, behavior, and anatomy. In this way, the catastrophic end of the dinosaurs was simultaneously a beginning, setting the stage for the rise of new forms of life and the reshaping of ecosystems worldwide. Studying the end of the dinosaurs provides profound insights into the nature of extinction and resilience. Evolution, though powerful, cannot prevent the consequences of sudden, extreme changes. Even species that have survived millions of years of environmental shifts can be undone within a geological instant. The KPG extinction illustrates that survival is a complex balance between adaptation, ecological stability, and sheer chance. Life's persistence is remarkable, but it is never guaranteed. The final days of the dinosaurs can be imagined as a world in upheaval. Forests burned, skies darkened by clouds of dust and ash, and seas became turbulent and lifeless. Herbivores that once roamed in vast herds faced starvation and disarray, while predators encountered scarcity and disruption. Migration routes were blocked, breeding grounds vanished, and ecosystems that had been stable for millions of years collapsed in a matter of months or years. In such a rapidly changing world, no adaptation, no matter how finely tuned, was sufficient to ensure survival. Despite this tragic ending, the legacy of dinosaurs endures. Fossil evidence allows scientists to reconstruct their diversity, behaviors, and interactions. From towering sauropods that reshaped landscapes to the smallest feathered theropods that may have displayed complex social behaviors, dinosaurs reveal a world both alien and familiar. Their story teaches lessons about adaptation, ecological balance, and the impermanence of even the most dominant life forms. Dinosaurs in their rise and fall continue to teach us about survival, adaptation, and the profound impact of both gradual changes and sudden catastrophes, and that life, while resilient, is perpetually vulnerable. The end of the dinosaurs also underscores a broader truth about the history of life on Earth. Extinction is not failure, but transformation. Through loss, new opportunities arise. Mammals evolved, birds soared, and the ecosystems of the world were forever reshaped. Life continued, diversified, and eventually gave rise to humans, who now study, admire, and seek to understand the creatures that once ruled our planet. The extinction of the dinosaurs is a story of endings and beginnings, of fragility and resilience, and of the endless, unfolding drama of life on Earth. As we reflect on the end of an era, we are reminded of the impermanence of even the mightiest species, the ever-changing nature of our planet, and the extraordinary capacity of life to adapt, evolve, and endure. Dinosaurs, in their rise and fall, continue to teach us about survival, adaptation, and the profound impact of both gradual changes and sudden catastrophes.
Chapter 10: Legacy and Lessons. The story of dinosaurs does not end with extinction. It continues in the lessons they leave behind, the legacies preserved in fossils, and the echoes of their existence in modern life. Dinosaurs were more than creatures of immense size, power, or beauty. They were a central part of ecosystems for more than 165 million years, shaping the landscapes
climates, and evolutionary trajectories of life on Earth. Understanding their rise, dominance, and eventual fall provides insight not only into the past, but also into the fragility, adaptability, and resilience of life itself. Fossils are the most tangible legacy of dinosaurs. They allow us to reconstruct skeletons, understand body structures, and imagine behaviors that occurred millions of years ago. Each discovery, from tiny teeth to massive bones, reveals details about diet, locomotion, reproduction, and even social interaction. Fossilized footprints, nests, and burrows reveal stories of migration, parental care, and territorial behavior. Through these remnants, dinosaurs continued to communicate across time, providing a bridge between a world long vanished and our modern understanding of life's history. Dinosaurs also teach lessons about adaptation and specialization. They evolved into forms that filled nearly every ecological niche. Massive sauropods that grazed treetops, agile theropods that hunted with intelligence and precision, armored ankylosaurs that defended themselves with intricate weaponry, and even small feathered species that may have been capable of gliding or flight. Each adaptation represents a response to environmental pressures, illustrating the incredible diversity and inventiveness of evolutionary processes. Their success reminds us that evolution is dynamic, opportunistic, and endlessly creative. Yet their extinction emphasizes the limits of adaptation. For all their size, strength, and diversity, dinosaurs could not survive the catastrophic combination of asteroid impact, volcanic activity, and climate disruption. This underscores a critical truth. No species, no matter how dominant, is invulnerable. Life depends not only on adaptation, but also on the stability of ecosystems and the balance of environmental conditions. Dinosaurs' demise is a stark reminder of the fragility of existence and the suddenness with which even the mightiest can vanish. The legacy of dinosaurs extends into modern animals, particularly birds. Birds are direct descendants of small theropod dinosaurs, carrying forward anatomical traits, behaviors, and even some ecological roles. Through them, dinosaurs remain present in the skies, forests, and fields of today. Their flight, songs, and nesting behaviors are living echoes of a lineage that survived mass extinction, reminding us that extinction is not absolute for all members of a group. Evolution finds a way to persist, even in forms dramatically different from the past. Dinosaurs also offer insight into Earth's history on a planetary scale. Studying their rise and fall illuminates patterns of climate change, continental drift, and mass extinctions. They reveal the consequences of environmental shifts, showing how life responds to both gradual and sudden pressures. Through these lessons, dinosaurs teach us not only about the past, but also about the potential impacts of present and future changes to Earth's ecosystems. They act as a mirror, reflecting the interconnectedness of life and the environment, and emphasizing the responsibility of all species, including humans, to maintain balance.
Beyond science, dinosaurs inspire imagination, curiosity, and wonder. Their sheer diversity, mystery, and grandeur captivate minds of all ages. Children and adults alike are drawn to their stories, imagining worlds of towering beasts, fierce predators, and complex ecosystems. Dinosaurs remind us of the richness of life, the beauty of adaptation, and the drama of survival. They bridge science and storytelling, allowing us to explore biology, geology, and evolution while connecting emotionally to creatures long gone. The lessons of dinosaurs are subtle yet profound. They show the necessity of adaptation, but also the limits of resilience. They demonstrate how ecosystems are delicately balanced and how even dominant species are part of a larger web of life. They remind us that extinction, while tragic, opens space for new opportunities, shaping the future of life on Earth. And through their descendants, birds, they reveal that life, though ever-changing, endures. In reflecting on the age of dinosaurs, we find a story that is not merely about creatures that lived and died, but about the processes that shape life itself. It is a narrative of growth and decay, of triumph and vulnerability, of ecological complexity and evolutionary innovation. Dinosaurs' rise and fall illustrate the vastness of geological time and the fleeting nature of even the most monumental life forms. Their history encourages patience, observation, and appreciation for the slow, intricate workings of the natural world. As we conclude this journey through the age of dinosaurs, we can imagine the Earth slowly recovering after their extinction. Forests regrew, mammals diversified, and the world entered a new chapter. Life continued, endlessly evolving, shaped by the lessons of the past. Dinosaurs, though gone in body, remain alive in memory, in science, in the skies above us, and in the imagination of all who seek to understand the ancient rhythms of our planet. They remind us that the story of life is ongoing, that endings are not final, and that every era, no matter how long or dominant, contributes to the ever-unfolding tapestry of Earth's history. The rise and fall of dinosaurs is, at its heart, a story of resilience, fragility, and transformation. It is a story that encourages reflection on our own place in the world, on the interconnectedness of all life, and on the enduring power of adaptation and survival. Dinosaurs may have vanished from the land, but their impact echoes through time, leaving lessons, inspiration, and wonder for every generation that looks back at the magnificent creatures that once ruled the Earth.